It's time for Recipe of the Day. Here we are on Friday Eve, Thursday, and I love having something special on Thursday or on Friday. I've got just a thing for you, pizza stuffed peppers. So these are not at all like the classic stuffed pepper that I do have a recipe for that I will link to for you, but the ones with the ground beef and the rice and the tomato sauce and the cheese. No. These are stuffed with your favorite pizza toppings, and you can go crazy with whatever pizza toppings you like, or you could just follow the recipe that I have. What I've done here though is really make this into a very simple recipe by using either leftover or pre-cooked rice. And then all of the ingredients are already cooked except for the mushrooms. And so I do kind of recommend that you saute the mushrooms before stuffing the peppers, but you actually don't have to if you don't want to. The mushroom texture will be still fine. Not as good, but just fine. The other thing that I do with this recipe is that the peppers are not sort of standing up whole and stuffed like they are in that like classic stuffed pepper version. Instead, we're cutting them in half through the core. So you kind of get 2 pepper boats that you fill. That just means that the portions aren't quite so overwhelming. You might want 2 of them, but you don't have to. You could just have 1 of them and it's not quite as much. But the other thing about this though is that these halves, they heat through more quickly, so you don't have to spend as long cooking them. And if you did saute that mushroom filling to start with, then that's already going to be warm, and the peppers, you're just waiting for them to soften to the texture you like in the oven. And so that just speeds it up. And you can actually speed up how long the peppers take to cook in the oven by either parboiling them just for a little bit in some hot water. I will link to how to do that for you. Or, now wait, I'm going to say I haven't tried this, but I've had people comment on the parboiling post saying that you can also do it in the microwave. So I'm going to say that makes total sense to me and I believe them. I just haven't actually tried it myself. But sure, cut your peppers in half, take the core out, and then just put them in the microwave for, 30 seconds at a time until they're kind of soft. Fill them with your hot filling or warm filling, and then just bake until everything is hot and the cheese melted, right? I think it'll totally work. And yes, I am absolutely adding this to my testing list. I don't know how I haven't tested it before, but now that I'm talking about these pizza peppers, I'm like, oh yeah, I need to try this myself for sure. That would make this dinner even quicker. Okay, so here is the recipe for the pizza stuffed peppers. You're going to preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Then you're going to measure a tablespoon of olive oil into a large skillet set over medium heat. When it's hot, you're adding 8 ounces of sliced mushrooms. Saute them for about 5 minutes just to sort of soften, and then you're going to add in 3 cloves of minced garlic. You know how much I love garlic. Continue to stir that for just a couple minutes, then you're going to add in the rest of the filling ingredients. So 16 ounces of pepperoni slices. I do like to cut them in half before adding them, but you don't have to if you don't want to. And then also 1.5 cups of cooked rice, a 15-ounce can of tomato sauce. Now I'm assuming that you're using a tomato sauce that's like really bland, the one that's just labeled tomato sauce, in which case you do need to add some seasonings to it. If yours is already seasoned, if you have a favorite one that you use that's nice and robust, skip the seasonings, okay? But assuming you're adding seasonings, you're adding a teaspoon of Italian seasoning, half a teaspoon of salt, and optionally a half teaspoon of red pepper flakes. And so stir that in the skillet, just kind of warm it through, and then take the filling off the heat. Then you're going to have those peppers, like I told you to do. So 4 of them, and you're cutting them in half lengthwise through the core, taking the core out so that you have these little boats, and then you're going to divide the filling among those, unless of course you decided to microwave those peppers to get the cooking started on them. But yeah, add the filling to those, fill them evenly, sprinkle with 1.5 cups of cheese total divided among those peppers, and then you're going to cover them with foil and bake them for 25 minutes. Take the foil off and just finish for like 10 minutes to brown the cheese a little bit. And like I said, if you have pre-cooked those peppers and your filling is hot, that first bake time, you barely need it at all. Probably like 10 minutes with the foil on and then 10 minutes with the foil off, and they're going to be delicious. I will put the link to this recipe in the show notes for this podcast episode, or you can head to cookthestory.com/ROTD and get it there. Everything there is arranged by date, so it's helpful to know that today is December 11th of 2025. And if you make this recipe and love it, or if you have made any of the recipes from my websites, please go and leave a rating and a comment. I want to hear from you. I love hearing what you've made, what you've tried, what you've liked. And then, as you know, having those 5-star ratings really helps me build my business, helps more people come to my website because they see those stars on Google and they're more likely to jump over and check things out, maybe even listen to the podcast and join our recipe of the day. Listeners like you, I really appreciate that you are out there listening and cooking along with me. Thank you so much. I'm Christine Pittman from cookthestory.com, thecookful.com, the all new chicken cookbook, cookfor2.us, and this podcast recipe of the day. I hope you have a great day. Let's get cooking.